This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gould.
Welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. It is I, Old Gingerface, here with you as always. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody who's found the podcast and has listened to the back catalog. Just so you know, it's totally evergreen. These are just police officers, the men and women of law enforcement, giving their stories, the shocking moments, the intense moments, the bizarre moments, as I said in the intro. And luckily for me, who runs the show, they are evergreen, so you can kind of just binge listen to them. It's a catalog of like incredible, crazy stories, and I'm really, really honored to be the host of the show. So thank you for being here and listening to it, because it's super important to me that people listen to what the men and women of law enforcement actually do to try to get a better appreciation for what that is when we are sleeping soundly in our beds at night, me included in that, of course. And thank you to everybody who's kind of slid over here from the Sergeant Steve YouTube channel. That's been going swimmingly. It's been going great. There's like over 300,000 people sub to that, which is totally unbelievable. And I thank you for that. So thank you. Really excited to have this guest today, because this next guy, as they say, is a lady, and we don't get a lot of lady coppers coming on the show. So I'm super excited. I get this request a lot. She did 29 years as a copper in the Chicago metro area, retired a sergeant, and is now spokesman for the National Police Association. Without further ado, let me bring on the great Betsy Smith. Betsy!
Hey, it's so great to be with you. I so appreciate what you do. Your channel is amazing, and it's really an honor to be with you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, mutual friend Patrick O'Donnell. I always go. We take care of each other, because running these podcasts is like you got to feed the beast. So it's like,
oh yes,
brother. I don't know if I've interviewed every cop in the country yet, but I need more. So we just kind of go back and forth. And he's like, Betsy is 5-star. Here she is. I'm like, all right. Now I owe you one. I'll work on it.
Awesome.
That's just
we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So 29 years in the Chicago metro area, that's no joke. The whole area is a damn Donnybrook.
Oh, absolutely. And I started in 1980. So they didn't really want women. And, Chicago can, the whole area can talk about how progressive they are and this and that. But people always ask me, were you a DEI hire? I'm like, I was hired in spite of being a woman, not because nobody wanted, no department wanted women, frankly. And in my agency, I was the first group of officers to test where they didn't have a minimum height. Minimum height in Illinois had been 5'8" tall. I'm 5'5", and so it was really interesting. And I was a farm girl, and so for me to end up, in the Chicago metro area, going to the Cook County Sheriff's Police Academy was pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, I bet it was a shock to your system, actually. Having lived probably a pretty wholesome life, and then you're on duty, like,
absolutely.
What's wrong with these people?
It was amazing.
Yeah, that's funny. We the Mass State Police, like an old adage I used to hear was, being a Mass State Trooper is open to everybody. As long as you're 6 foot tall, a Marine, and you're white, you're in.
Exactly. And it was, my academy experience reflected that they, we were still at a time in the Chicago area where they just wanted big, tall, white Irish guys to be cops. So,
there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the Irish guys.
Yeah, right. We need them, but yeah, it was interesting. But I made it the 29 years, had a great career, and then continued on.
Yeah, and I think you just have to have, like, the women I've had on that were cops and had a successful career. You just have to have a thick skin. Like, you can't, like, some of the stories I've heard from some of the women that have come on about the razzing and just how profane men can be when it's a guys club. They kind of just had to be like, okay, I can get through this, and I can also give it back a little. And then the guys are like, whoa, all right.
Yeah, there was a lot of hazing at the time. And absolutely, when I talk to young women cops now, and they're like, oh, my sergeant said I look cute today. And I'm like, oh, honey, you know,
You have no idea.
you have no clue. 4 women started on Monday in my academy class. By Friday, I was the only one left. And the guy running the academy, who's deceased now, God rest his soul, came in and said, you shouldn't be sitting in the front seat of my police academy here. You ought to be on your knees giving me a blowjob.
Oh
And
my gosh, that is terrible.
Yeah, that was 1981. And
Wow.
January of 81. So yeah, I don't have a lot of tolerance for the hurt feelings and this and that. Of course, we need to be professional. Sexual harassment is wrong. But yeah, I've heard it all.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I will say in police work too, I've worked with many women officers over the years, and it can be a real tactical advantage, especially I found with men, intensely upset men at domestics, where if they're still adhering to some form of societal agreements, a female officer where they would just fight with us, a female can get in there and diffuse. And I always loved that. That was so great.
We had a saying, everybody's got a mother, right? The biggest thug on the planet still had a mom. And if you can go in there as a female, and capture that part of their brain, you can do great things. And women are natural de-escalators. In the last 10 years, we've talked a lot in training about de-escalation. Women do that naturally. The problem is, for example, when I started, is I'd go to these domestics and I'd try to connect with one combatant or the other, depending on the situation. And what would my field training officer tell me? Come on, kid, move along. We're not here to fix people's problems. We got 3 calls holding.
Get your billy club out.
And now, now we're all about sitting them down and holding their hands and,
oh my gosh.
All this stuff. And, but yeah, women are, I've trained thousands and thousands and thousands of female police officers. And, we are natural de-escalators. We just don't always take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough job for women to get involved in, and it's not like, and I've caught like a lot of flack for this before, but the whole it's 10% of women, 10-15% women are cops, and I'm not so sure that's bad, because I think it does take a very special type of woman to do the job. And I think it's male dominated for a reason. Like, I don't want it to be 50-50. You know what I mean?
No, it shouldn't be 50-50. Let me rescue you from this, because I have a vagina, so I can say these things. There's a reason that women are still about 10 to 12% of American law enforcement. That's only because 10 to 12% of the women out there are attracted to this profession.
Yeah, they don't want to do it.
No, and there's no reason. That's why I really dislike this 30 by 30 initiative, where there's an initiative in this country to have 30% female police officers in our nation's police departments by 2030. And I think it's ridiculous, because when you put out a false goal like that, if you want to make your goal 30% qualified women on each agency, that's fine. It's a nice goal. But again, women are not necessarily attracted to this profession. And again, I have talked to so many reporters over the years and authors and this and that. What can we do to make this job more attractive to women? Can we have more family-friendly policies? Can we have daycare at the police department? Things like that. And I said, well, that's great. Then you're saying that only women raise children and only women take care of the children. You're leaving out a whole population, that's men, who also raise their families, love their children, things like that. What we need to do, especially now in this country, is just make sure that every police department is up to full staff with the most qualified individuals that we can hire.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100% agree with that. The policing nationally, it's so tough right now, especially because I'm still doing it and trying to find qualified applicants to apply. we're already like just police, like a general statement across country. And I was a background investigator at LAPD for a few years in a civilian role. It's just the walking back of the requirements to get people on both the male and female side. I mean, both is not good. It's just this no one wants to do it. Even guys are wanting to do it less because of just how police are viewed. And we're just kind of just taking, hey, you interested? It used to be, you know how it is. It used to be so hard. You take a test. There was all this competition, 60 people for 5 spots. Now it's like, oh yeah, you want to be a cop? That's great. We'll get you through the process. You know, come on in, send them all the way through academy, then find out like 3 weeks in, this isn't for me. It's like,
right.
Because you never tested them.
By the way, I like to snort cocaine. Yeah. And that was the thing when I took my police test for my agency. I think there was about 1,000 people who applied for 4 spots, and I got number 4. But now, 3 years ago, the city of St. Louis gave a police test, and nobody showed up. You know,
imagine that. I wouldn't show up for that city.
Yeah, and 9 out of every 10 police departments in this country is short staffed. So, and I hope people understand that most police departments are less than 10 officers anyway. Most police departments in this country are small agencies. They're not the Boston PD and the Chicago PD and the LAPD. And it's really difficult. And when we are leaving qualified candidates, i.e. white males, on the table, we're literally shooting ourselves in the foot, and we're endangering our communities.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough battle. Hopefully, they say the pendulum swings. Hopefully we can at least get back a little bit the other way. But Betsy, I really want to hear about the first hot call you went on. The first call you went on as a rookie, where you were like the adrenaline dump, and you're like, oh my goodness.
I'll tell you, I was so excited when I got out of the police academy. Again, people always ask, why did you become a cop? I'm a kid of the 70s. So I watched a lot of TV. So in my head, you talk about LA, I was going to be Adam 12. Yeah. I was going to be, all that stuff. And I was literally going to go to LA. And
yep.
I never got out of Illinois. But so I was so excited to be able to go to, run lights and siren and go do those traffic stops and things like that. And one of the very first calls that I went on as a rookie with my field training officer ended up being what we thought was a double homicide. And so that was, I remember walking in and seeing these 2 dead bodies. It was a stabbing.
That's a crazy early call.
A lot of blood. It's that, the smell, the iron smell and all that. And I'm like, holy crap, I am not a farm girl anymore. And, it just, for a while, a couple hours, I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. But then after that, it was like, this is the best job ever. And I was kind of mad when I would have days off. And I was one of those rookies that would jump other people's calls. I'm like, I'll take it, and because I just thought, I just can't believe they're paying me for this. I didn't even know what my salary was when I got hired. Like when my paycheck came, I was like, wow, this seems like a lot of money, because I never even inquired how much they were going to pay me. I just assumed I could, pay my rent and stuff. So yeah, it was, and that, that adrenaline rush that you get, that never went away.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy when you cut, policing is so much in the culture. There's so many movies, TV shows for all of time. And then when you actually do it and you go to one of these calls that's like so super serious and it's like really heavy and there's like carnage, it just, because of our back knowledge of all the police stuff, it takes you out of it. And you're like, you can't believe it's real. You're like, I'm involved in this now. This is insane.
Absolutely. And I think about that. I think about, the things that I miss. And that's one of the things is that, I miss that real rush of the unknown. I miss that rush of walking up on a traffic stop or going to a violent domestic and and go into a bar fight where you're like, yeah. And, those were fun days.
Yeah. So what did they, when you were, I mean, it sounds like you were very new. Did they let you do anything at all? Or was it more just like let you see all the procedures or,
for this particular, this was, I don't know, like a month into my training. I actually ended up having to guard the crime scene. Again, this is all pre, cell phones, pre-internet, all that kind of stuff. And we were a relatively small department at that time. I think we had less than 100 officers. And so, they sat me at the crime scene. And they're like, okay, we got to go outside and set up all this stuff and wait for the coroner and the detectives and all that stuff. You sit here, kid. And I'm like, I kept looking over at the two bodies and going, and I was like, God, I hope they don't get up. And,
waiting for them to move or something,
Yeah. I mean, it was, and I was like, yeah, this is what I wanted. But, I mean, just wow. From a farm kid. And again, I started the police academy. It was when I was about 2 weeks out of college. So, I mean, my life experience was somewhat limited, except that I had been a police dispatcher, but I'd been a police dispatcher for a small county and for my college and stuff. So, it did eventually solidify my choice as a career.
Yeah, I can imagine. And thank goodness, too, when you're that new that they just put you on a post just to, like, that. You must have been looking around like, thank goodness I don't have to do this other stuff because I'm just taking this in.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Yeah, when you're new on the job, the first adrenaline dumps are the biggest. So, like, your legs are jumping and you just feel like, oh my gosh.
You're shaking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're trying to, like, write a note and you're like, all jacked up, like, already, what do they say? All dressed up, nowhere to go or whatever. You're just like,
and you're trying to be super cool,
right?
And that was the thing. As a female, as a young female, I was at that time, so I just turned 22, and as a young female, I had like my first sergeant at the agency who ended up being a good friend of mine, but he told me, I don't believe in broads and police work, and I mean. Back then, they just openly harassed you. There was no, people would walk by you in the hallway and say, you shouldn't be here, honey, stuff like that.
Right.
And so here I am, I'm trying to be like super cool and nothing affects me. And dead bodies. I've seen a million of those, where internally I'm going, holy crap, those are dead bodies. And, it was an amazing time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, especially that when you're young like that too. Maybe you saw like great Aunt Edna in her coffin, all made up at a wake. You didn't see her.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, you didn't see her like that. Yeah, that really disturbed me greatly. The first few. I've told this story before in the podcast, but there was this guy at a local bar that I just bought a meal from when I was like new, and he died in the bar. And I came in and he was like a kitchen worker, was kind of just like impishly trying to do CPR on him. He had the look, and it was like, that was like really, really got to me. Like, it's the first thing I thought of the next morning when I woke up, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was insane. But you got to build those calluses,
Exactly. And you do build them. And that's one of the things I think we see now where, police officer mental health is such a huge issue. And I don't know in our profession if we're doing the best job helping law enforcement officers build those calluses. I really like how you put that, because I think sometimes we go a little overboard with, making sure they're talking about their feelings and this and that. Yes, we need to do that, but you're going to see dead people.
Right.
And if that upsets you, then, maybe this isn't the job for you. And I said to tell you, I was at my husband was teaching at a conference a couple of years ago. And so we went in, we're polite. So we go in to hear the speaker before us. And it was huge, ballroom full of cops, and a lot of them we knew. And, so we're sitting in the back, and this, it's two social workers, and they're talking about, all the mental health issues for law enforcement. And the one social worker who had no connection to law enforcement said, she goes, I know you guys are all looking at me and I know you're all thinking, I didn't really sign up to have to shoot somebody. And I know how hard that is for you. Both my husband and I, our phones started blowing up from all our friends in the room. Actually, that's exactly what I signed up for. I mean, like 20 guys are texting me going, and again, this is, police gallows humor and all of that.
Right.
But this is the thing. She's going, oh, I know that, you must be just so sad about having to shoot somebody. Of course, nobody wants to have to shoot somebody. Most cops don't. But these cops were all like, no, this is not what we want to talk about when we're talking about police officer mental health. But to her, to someone who wasn't in the profession, who's
Right.
got her little social work degree, God bless her, she really thought that was the worst thing a police officer can experience is having to shoot someone, when we know, cops know, that the worst thing you experience after you have to shoot somebody is the way you're treated by the agency, by the court system,
Right.
by the media, all that stuff. It's the aftermath. It's not the actual shooting.
Right. And it's like, it's wild to say nowadays, but I have I have a bunch of friends that were like homicide detectives, robbery, homicide for like 40 years. And some people are unaffected. Like, we're all built differently.
Absolutely.
So like this guy shoots his sixth person. You don't need to be on his ass. Like, if he tells you he's okay, he'll do the protocol, but he actually is okay. He's done, he did a 40-year career, shot 6 people. Like, for whatever reason, he's programmed like that, and he's okay with it. He's not like mentally disturbed by it. Some people are okay with it, but to them, it's like everybody's a delicate flower, and we must dissect this and talk about it endlessly. It's like, well, you might give the person a problem if you just don't let it go.
Absolutely. Decades ago, I was at a class with my husband and I were teaching, and my husband always talks about it's okay to feel good about killing somebody who was trying to kill you or an innocent third person. It's okay to feel good about it. We're not saying that you want to seek it out,
Right?
But stop feeling bad because this guy chose the moment for you to have to use deadly force. You didn't choose it. The bad guy chose it. An officer who'd been involved in a couple of shootings came up to him afterwards and said, and his last shooting was like 2 years ago. And he's like, no one, my agency, my shrink, my sergeant, no one has ever told me that it's okay to feel good about the successful outcome of my shooting. And he said, until you said it. And he said, that's
a great point.
Yeah. He said, that's always been my mental health issue, is I actually felt good about it, but I couldn't say it to anybody because if he goes to the department shrink and he goes, yeah, I had to kill this guy and I feel good about it, the department shrink's like, so you like to kill people. And, so we do our officers such a disservice. We're getting better at it, but we have got to recognize all of human nature and human emotion, and don't just assume that you're going to have lifetime post-traumatic stress because you had to use deadly force.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. That was so well said. Betsy, strangest or most bizarre thing you dealt with?
Oh God, there is so much.
I bet.
So I think I was a sergeant, and we got a call of a suicidal woman, a woman who had stabbed herself, Okay. So we go to this call, and we walk in, and she has, ears if you're delicate. She has a large, what I would call a dagger, so it's a large fixed blade with a cross part on the top of it.
Yep.
And she's got a dagger, and she has impaled herself vaginally with that.
Oh,
and,
my gosh.
So it's me, and it just happened to be me and another female officer. And we walk in and we're like, oh, that's going to leave a mark. And, we were just, we're like, is it Satan? Is it,
The Exorcist? This is like The Exorcist.
It really was.
Oh my gosh.
And we're talking to her, and she's a little out there, but not as out there as you would think. But it was that I've seen a lot of really horrible stuff that stayed with me for a very, very, very long time.
Wow.
Ugh.
I
still, it makes my eyes water.
Thank goodness you had a partner with you or somebody to just offload
I know,
with.
we were just
that's insane. Oh my gosh. Was she now the craziest thing is this is one of the craziest stories I've heard on here. And this is like right up there. This is the male side. Brad Nischwitz was I believe he was a deputy in the Midwest. He had a guy just completely castrate himself and like put it in a hotel room.
Yeah.
And just put it in the reservoir of the toilet in a bag. So my question to him was like, well, what was he on? Like crystal meth? Like what was he doing? And he's like, actually the toxicology came back and he wasn't on anything. They said he was just bipolar. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, this gal was kind of drunk and that was kind of it. I thought same thing. I thought, she was going to be on all kinds of crazy stuff. And nope, she just had issues. Whew,
but as they say, some people just shouldn't drink. If you're gonna do that, you're one of those people.
Exactly.
So did she make it through that? She lived?
Yeah, she made it through. She was in the hospital. Then she was in the the psych hospital.
Yeah.
For a while, and she didn't commit a crime. So,
right.
just like
we call them a Section 12. I don't know what they call them in the Midwest.
We call them a 1096. And
involuntary committal.
And she wasn't suicidal. This was just, I think, wow. Again, a lot of self-loathing and things like that. And instead of cutting her arms, this is what she chose to do. But it was very dramatic, and it was a very dramatic knife. It wasn't like the little pocket knife or anything,
like something like ceremonial, almost like a big dagger.
It was like a ninja sword kind of a thing. Really, oh my Lord! And it was just ironic that it was females going to that. Probably a good thing.
Wow, yeah, that is bizarre. I have to say, you're. I love this interview so far, by the way, but the Chicago metro area, Detroit metro, you guys never disappoint. It's just never disappointing. It's always just like, oh my gosh, the humanity of it all. Betsy, can you tell us about your most intense and or terrifying moment on the job?
There were a lot of those. But I think the most personal, terrifying's I see you're wearing it across. Terrifying's a relative word. I'm a Christian and always been a Christian. So, that's great. I gave that a lot of thought, as a young cop that I really did have felt God there with me. And so I've never been afraid of dying, but
we know where we're going.
Yeah. So there's, but there's times where you're really scared, and I was undercover. They put me undercover pretty quick in my career because, again, this is the early '80s, cocaine and Miami Vice and all that stuff. And there weren't in Chicago. There just weren't women that were undercover. So I was like a night scope. They loaned me out. I actually was undercover in like 3 different states and different task forces.
Given the era, it actually is very smart to take the few females that you have and make them undercover cops. It's very smart.
I literally bought dope from a guy I had arrested for DUI like 60 days earlier. Because nobody.
Luckily, he was drunk.
Yes, nobody's paying attention. Nobody thinks that, and I was very young and I looked even younger and all that. So anyway, I'm on a task force and we had been working this deal and a big cocaine deal, and we're going to seize a lot of stuff and property and all that stuff. And this woman that she's a woman who's probably about my age now. And, but she worked for the state government in Illinois. And, when we took her and when we were going to take her and her son down, this is going to be like politically a big hoo-ha and stuff. And so we got word that she had gotten word who we were, my partner and I, and that but she didn't stop anything. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'll see you on this day and this time." She had moved it to her condo in a very ritzy area of Chicago area. And so our bosses sat us down, my partner and I, who was from another task force, and said, "You guys, we want to nut this. We don't want to do this because we think you're really in danger. But we're going to leave it up to you guys." So he and I talked and we said, "Let's do it." We had been working this case for months. This is going to be a big deal. So we're walking up to the door of this condo, and we knew we'd probably get searched and all this stuff. Back then, all we had were like, they called them panic buttons. We had no wires, things like that.
Yeah.
It looked like a little pager, no cameras,
totally reliable, I'm sure.
But yeah. So we're walking up, and I remember thinking that, because I had been undercover for a couple of years now, and I remember thinking, I hope my parents know to bury me in my uniform. I really wanted to be buried in my uniform.
Oh man, dark thoughts walking up there.
Yes, and I'm thinking, but I'm undercover, and I wonder if my parents know that was my last thought before we walk up to the door. And so we go up to the door and knock on the door, and we go in, and there's way more people in there in this condo than there should be. And there's her and her son and but other thuggish looking people. And we walk in, and they grab my partner, they throw him up against the wall, they start pulling his shirt off, all this stuff. They're looking for wires, guns, this and that. And I'm like, I'm just like, holy cow.
Oh.
So I turn to her, this older woman, and I start to cry. And I mean, I'm crying, ugly crying. And she goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Can I talk to you in the kitchen?" And she's like, "Yeah." So we go to the kitchen. "Hey, he's cheating on me. I just found out right before we came up there. He's cheating on me with his blood." And he was a black guy. So I'm like, "He's cheating on me with a black girl," and all, and I'm just, I grew up on a farm in Illinois, in a Christian church, in a Christian community. I got nothing. So I'm just pulling stuff out of my head of whatever I've seen.
You get an Academy Award for this. Good thinking.
I'm telling you. And so she gets, because we're women, this is women.
Yeah.
She buys into the whole thing. That son of a bitch, I can't believe he did this to you. Here's what we're going to do, honey. We're going to, so she gets me this massive amount of cocaine. She goes, "You're going to go out the back door." And she goes, "You got the money, right?" I'm like, "I got the money." She goes, "My guys will take care of him. We're going to get you out the back door. You take this, honey. You sell all this and you get on with your life. He doesn't deserve you all that."
Oh.
And so I hit the panic button. Thank God it worked. Boom, everybody comes in, and that's it. And oh my God.
Wow.
And it turned out that they did think we were cops. But after my little impromptu performance, she had decided that I wasn't.
Yeah, you put that doubt in their mind.
It was.
Wow.
But I was planning my open casket funeral.
Yeah, and it's so funny your premonition was correct. Like walking in there like, yes, it's going to go very bad.
Yeah, it was crazy. Made for a great story about a month later after I stopped shaking.
Yeah, I bet. What did your partner have to say about it? He must have been happy that you were able to do that. He was
like, and again, this is not a guy that I knew well. He was just my partner for this particular, situation. And he's like, "Where did that come from?" I'm like, I think it came from God. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah.
That is not what I was thinking about when I walked in there. I was thinking, besides about my own funeral, I was like, how many people can I fight off? And can I get a gun grab on somebody and things like, I was thinking more tactical. And
way smarter that route though. Way more disarming to people.
But I don't think that wouldn't have worked if she hadn't been a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially an older woman. She was like my mom's age at that time.
These people, what are they selling coke at that age?
she had a great job, like a high up in state government job, but she's dealing cocaine with her ne'er-do-well son. I mean, it was the 80s. Everybody was
coke was everywhere. That always blows me away. There was one of I think it was, I don't want to misspeak, but some Massachusetts politician, either Mayor Wu in Boston or Healy's people was selling coke. Like, I think it was Healy was selling coke like right out of the state house, like high up in her Escalon. It was like, brother, you have a good job with like awesome benefits.
I know.
You're making like $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop yourself. You got to sell the drugs. Nuts. Betsy, do you have a positive or heartwarming encounter you recall? Can be hard for retired coppers, I know. But whatever, even if you think it's heartwarming, it may not be, but we still want to hear it.
I mean, I did have a lot of, really a lot of them. I'll tell you, I had been a patrol sergeant for a while, and one of the bosses came to me and said, the crime prevention sergeant is retiring and we want you to take that job. Now at this point, I'm like, I'd been undercover for 4 years and I had been a juvenile detective and all this stuff. And I'm like, now I'm back in patrol and I'm running and gunning and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be the one you come to sign out the McGruff suit,
Right.
And but it's not Betsy's police department on my patch.
Unfortunately, right.
Yes. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll put in for it. And of course I got it. So here I am, the crime prevention sergeant. And I'll tell you, that was it was life changing for me, because it came at a time when I was pretty cynical and I was pretty sure that everybody was a drug dealing child molester. And
this happens to all of us. Like when I go with my family, I'm like, don't talk to that person. I
know. Everyone is bad.
They're going to kidnap you.
And so I took over a bunch of programming. So here's the long answer to your question. One of the programming things that we took over was senior citizen programming, and working with senior citizens in that capacity was so incredibly heartwarming. And we would go to these nursing homes, and we got to the point where I would have, because I had a pretty big staff, I would have my male police officers come with me to the nursing homes on like when they would have Monday afternoon dancing and things. And I would have my guys go in uniform, their formal uniforms, and dance with the ladies and things like that. And I remember sitting and talking with these seniors who had been everything from Congress people to doctors to, all these important people. And now they're kind of gathering in a nursing home and sitting there. But those were some of the best moments.
That's awesome.
Of that part of my career, and now I'm that woman, I'm the senior citizen. And it was just, they were amazing. They were just amazing. And they were amazing to us.
That's beautiful. I love that. I know I have such a soft spot for seniors in our community. Like I've pulled over the same, like older people before, like multiple times. I just can't do anything. I'm like, all right, well, hey, see you next week, I guess. Please try to slow down or whatever, It's like, because it's like I don't think they get enough respect. These are the people that held up our society. They were important people. We were on, standing on their shoulders. Like, it's like they should get respect and we should take care of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think about that sometimes too. And this is going to sound like very dramatic, but I'm 46 now, but I really feel like I'm 18. Like when I look in the mirror, I'm like, what are these lines in my face? I'm only 18. Oh, yeah. But I'm getting older. I wake up in the morning, I'm a little sore. I'm like, why am I so sore? But then I go on a lot of calls with elderly and death and stuff, and I'm like, man, that's going to be me. But it's like these people who are retired and they had these great jobs, these great lives. They were powerful people, and we all kind of end up in that same kind of, that you just kind of in that state, And we should respect.
It's very humbling. Yeah, it's very humbling.
We should respect and revere that. These people are incredible. They were,
Absolutely.
They had amazing lives.
Yeah.
So I love that story. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you got involved in that. Okay, this one is big, Betsy. people who listen to the show, there's a lot of people that listen that are like thinking about being cops. They're not sure. And they actually, believe it or not, there's going to be people that listen to this episode and decide to be a cop because of things you told them, the way you told your stories. I know because I get the emails with the pictures from academy graduation, and they're like, Steve, I did this because of you're listening to your guests. And it's the coolest thing because we're like making baby cops, which, like we talked about earlier, we need it to happen. So in all the years you did, you were a sergeant, all the specialties you had, what is some advice you would give to new candidates getting into the field now?
I would tell them, go in the best shape of your life. Physical fitness, and I know standards are lowered, and you think, well, I don't, we had to run 4 miles. Now maybe they have to run a mile, whatever it is. But go in at top peak physical conditioning, because that's what's going to keep you safe. Right now, and I didn't used to say this, but now I tell young people, you're thinking about being a cop, shop those departments. In other words,
amen to that.
You can be picky about where you go. So don't just say, oh, I heard, Main Street USA here is testing, I'm going to go take your police test. You are at a point now where you can think about where you want to live, what kind of policing you want to do, things like that. So don't just think about your 22-year-old self right now. Think about, where do I want to be when I'm 30? Where do I want to be when I'm 40? Where would I want to raise a family? Where do I want to recreate? If you're some 22-year-old guy and you live in New York City, but you think fly fishing sounds cool, then go out to Wyoming and be a cop.
Yeah.
If you live in Texas and you're tired of the hot weather, then go to North Dakota. There are so many opportunities for young people in law enforcement. And there are many departments that are handing out signing bonuses.
Oh, it's nuts.
So think about that. Think about not just, I need a job now, but know that you're sitting in a very good position. And if you're thinking about being a cop, do it. You will never have the same day twice. None of your friends can say that. And, in 29 years, I never had the same day twice. I know you're exactly the same way. And it is just a phenomenal profession, but be picky about where you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Thank you for that. And that is so true, because we all have friends in different walks of life, but I have friends that are like, big jobs, rich, or whatever, but they think being a cop is so cool. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, but your job must be so much like more interesting. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those jobs. And I say it all the time. That's the reason I got into. My dad was a cop for 30 years, but it's like, it's a job you can do locally. It's attainable, and it has a huge impact. And like, a lot of people think it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's something you can actually do and have an impact. And it's not like this huge bar of entry. You just have to be relative. You got to keep your ducks in a row and pass the background and all that. But like, you can do it. You can do the job and make a huge impact and be a cop. I mean, to me, I always thought that was so cool. It's unreal.
Well, and it can lead to so many other things. You don't just have to do, your 20 or 30 years and then you're done. I mean, I've had I've had multiple other careers since being a cop. So is my husband. And it can really lead to other things, which are, and again, that's another thing. If you're thinking about it, don't go to the department that pays $15 an hour. You can make a really good living as a cop if you go to the right place and you balance that cost of living with what you're getting paid.
Yeah, that was, I love that you said that too about the be picky, because that's how I respond when people write me privately to the show email and they're like, how do I pick the place or what do I do? And I'm always like, listen, unless you're just hell bent on working for the town you grew up in and that's just what you want to do, you're young, look around. Please, God, go to a place that likes cops, because you'll be so much happier if the community appreciates you. Mm-hmm. You just will. Like, we were just talking before we started recording, I went down to visit with Sheriff Lamb. Sheriff Lamb, I'm hearing these guys talk about how they enforce laws in Arizona, and I'm like, oh man, would be having so much more fun if I wasn't a cop. If I hadn't invested so much damn time in being a cop in the state I'm in, I would have had so much better
absolutely.
time. You know?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, for example, Sheriff Mark Lamb's agency, Pinell County Sheriff's Department, they have a new sheriff now. He's one of Mark's proteges, a guy by the name of Ross Teeple.
Yeah.
And Ross is a great guy. He's a friend of ours. And his cops love him because he lets them be cops. You know, this is what Kash Patel said before he took over the FBI. Let cops be cops. And that's where you want to go. You don't want to go to Seattle. I don't know how else to say that, but
I know.
You don't want to end up in Seattle or Portland or unless you just want to be miserable. And so like you said, find a place, find a community, and find a department that likes cops, that believes in good training, that's got a lot of movement, or that has the lifestyle that you want. And that may be a rural sheriff's department. That lifestyle is kind of cool too. But understand, as a police officer, we don't move around a whole lot. Also, look at the federal government, but know that if you become a federal police officer, there's a chance you're not going to end up in the same spot, for your 20 or 30 years. And that can be tough on your family, but the financial rewards are great. And so, again, do your research, know what's out there. Don't just talk to the guy next door who was a cop somewhere. Really do your research.
Yeah. And just know, if they're offering a sign-on bonus and that bonus is like $50,000, don't go there. It's not worth it. Because the West Coast has $50,000 sign-on bonuses, and you will hate your life.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. They'll spend the whole time trying to fire you for doing police work, and it will be a nightmare. All right.
Absolutely.
Betsy, can you, come on, Steve. I want to talk about the National Police Association, and I built a really cool landing page for us to look at, and it's just gone. So let's talk about it anyways. You're spokesman for the National Police Association, and I can pull that up and talk about the website. But
right. What
is that like? I mean, you retired being a cop, or like you're talking about second careers. Here you are.
Yeah, absolutely. When I for about a little more than half of my actual police career, I was a police trainer. And an author. You can go to policeone.com, officer.com, lawofficer.com, pretty much any law enforcement website. You can read hundreds of my articles out there. We also did, my husband started the video unit at Police One. Yep. And so I always had this kind of parallel career. So when I retired, we run a training company, and I was running around doing a lot of training and writing, and the National Police Association reached out to me in early 2020 and said, "Would you like to write for us?" I'm like, "Sure, you seem cool." And
were you ever like into writing before, or was this kind of like your
No, I have like I wrote for policeone.com, officer.com, lawofficer.com, Law and Order magazine, which came out before you were born, probably. Police magazine, you could, any law enforcement website that's been around for more than a year.
Yep.
You'll find my articles on it. And you'll find a picture of a gal with long red hair or curly blonde hair or, but it's this girl.
Yes. And were you a natural redhead?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you maybe my kindred sister, you know what I mean?
No, I actually not sure what my natural color was. I think it was originally brown. No, this came about when I had cancer. That's a whole other story. But anyway, we decided to keep it short. But they came to me and I had known about it, and they said, "You want to write for us?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll do a little writing." And then George Floyd happened.
Mm.
And the boss there reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, you like to do TV stuff. Can you go on this CBS station, I think it was, in San Jose, and talk about this particular issue, this post George Floyd issue. And it was about a Black Lives Matter mural that was in front of this California police station. And the 32-foot letter in front of their police station or their city hall was a depiction of Assata Shakur, a cop killer. And they said, can you talk to it? So I go, yeah. So I went on, and you can find the first video there, but it's on Zoom, which I had never used.
Oh, Zoom exploded. Everybody was Zooming.
And, so here I am, looking down, and all this stuff. And so I explained why this is a bad thing. And then another station reached out to them and so they asked me, do you want to be her spokesman? And I'm like, sure. What are my parameters? Like, none. Tell the truth. And
wow.
So that was an interesting time, post George Floyd. So now I find myself arguing about that and Breonna Taylor and Black Lives Matter and all that. Then the death threats start. Antifa is doxing me, all these things. And so it got pretty wild, but it's been an amazing ride. And they send me to different conferences. For example, I got to meet multiple times Charlie Kirk because
that's awesome.
We were supporters of Amerifest, and Amerifest, Charlie Kirk was really pro-police. And we got to have a vendor hall there. I got to speak on stage at the Amerifest or the Turning Point Young Women's Summit and things like that.
That's so
really
cool.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was, but I get to be, on TV all the time. I do a lot of Fox. I do a lot of Fox, a lot of Newsmax. And of course, now I live in Nancy Guthrie land. So I do a lot of Nancy Guthrie hits. She's still gone, by the way. It's really been wonderful because the National Police Association, we're a 501c3, and we support not just the American law enforcement officer, but those folks who support us. And we get involved. We're very involved in the legislature. We are constantly, touting bills, and we have attorneys that file amicus briefs on various Supreme Court cases that are trying to take powers away from law enforcement officers. And it's a lot of officer survival stuff. We support and talk about cases where officers are being wrongly prosecuted and things like that. But we also have like a homeschooling program.
Oh, that's awesome. We homeschool our kids. That's great.
Yeah. See, it's a homeschool program that you can download that, talks about that cops don't suck, and right. It's fantastic. We have all this grassroots advocacy, and we're so proud of it. We have a book out called The 10 Code that takes all these things that law enforcement officers know about and learn about, and applies it to day-to-day life, which it's also a great homeschooling book. I'm very proud to be a part of this organization, and I'm grateful for what they've done for me, because I get to run around and tell the truth about my profession, because I love this profession. And a lot of people go on cable TV or do interviews or whatever, and they have to be careful about what they say. Yeah. I don't, as long as I'm telling the truth. And
God bless you. That's so great.
And in the beginning, when I started doing this, I would get, like, my phone would ring, and because I have a training company, and so I'd answer it in my Betsy, the training company hat. And they're like, you got to get rid of that crazy bitch. She's a racist. She's that. And I'm like, let me get you the owner. Hello? And,
That's so funny.
So there was a lot of that, but because I'm basically uncancelable. I own my own company, and I'm old and I don't care. And,
I love it.
So I'm going to tell the truth.
Yeah, I love that. What is the best way to support nationalpolice.org?
So go on our website, go to nationalpolice.org. Nationalpolice.org. You can, there's a bunch of different tabs. You can scroll through, read all the great things we're doing. And there is a donate button because it's a charity. It's a 501c3. And you can hit that donate button, and what you are donating towards is to pay those attorneys to file those amicus briefs. And there's also things that you can do, like read all the legislation we're supporting and reach out to your own congressperson and say, reach out to your own senator and say, I want you to pass this act or this law, because it's all pro law enforcement stuff, and none of it is we want cops to have more power so the government can go in and do these things. It's that we want cops to be safe, and we want them to help the people that they signed up to help. That's why I say this isn't just an organization for cops. It's an organization for citizens who support cops and citizens who need cops.
Yeah.
And that's everyone. And we want the American law enforcement officer to go out there and keep people safe, because that's our job. And it's also, nobody knows this better than you, it's our passion, right? It's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. That's so cool. The fact that you can say whatever you want and you haven't been canceled since George Floyd times speaks a lot to me.
Believe me, they've tried. My poor chief got phone calls, and he's like, she does some work here, and
that's funny. Do you know, are you familiar with Molly Hemingway?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's I'm a big fan of hers. I'm a Lutheran, so I listen to LPR, and she's a big LPR fan, and I wish I could make it out to Chicago to the conference they have. Issues, Etc. has a conference with a bunch of Christians from around the country come and speak on all kinds of stuff. But I feel like she's the same way. Like she somehow gets away with just kind of, you got to be a certain kind of person to be able to do that, and you're doing it, which is very cool. You got to have a thick skin, because my wife has very little. She would be, if I started getting like some of my social media is pretty large, so I get like probably more interaction with people than she would even prefer. But if people started coming by our house or sending us messages a lot, I would just have to not tell her, because she would freak. Oh, yeah. She'd be like, we're moving to a cornfield in Ohio. We're not doing this.
Yeah, now my husband just starts reloading ammo, and
that's it.
He's like, bring it. And
that's great. Hey, that's why we're also heavily armed,
Yeah. And I mean, that was the thing when I started doing this. And in fact, about 3 months into it, I did get diagnosed with breast cancer, and so I had to, and I was like, well, I don't need to tell people about this. So I had surgery, blah, blah. And then they tell me a couple months after surgery, you got more cancer. We're going to do chemo.
Oh,
so I'm like, crap. I got this great media job, and now I'm going to be bald. What am I going to do about that? And so I told my boss, and he was amazing. And I bought a wig and, did all that. But people would, when I finally, because at some point I had to announce that I had cancer and was going through treatment, because again, I went from this long red-haired spokesman to this with a little wig on, and people started jumping on my social media, and this, like my personal social media, and I still get that to this day. You're a racist. You're this. You're that.
Demons. I mean, oh my gosh.
I know. So it's just, you got to feel bad for people who just it's evil, and they're misdirected, and
what are we supposed to do? We got to feel, like you said, feel sorry for them and pray for them.
Yeah,
as difficult as that is. How do you do that again, Pastor? Run it by me one more time.
I know. Help me out.
Oh my gosh, Betsy, I had such a great time talking to you, and I really appreciate you coming on here.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, this was such a pleasure. And again, I love the channel. We need media like this. And I'm grateful for media like yours, because
thank you.
I spend a lot of time on cable TV, but new media, YouTube streaming, all that, that's what, anybody under the age of 45 is paying attention to. And the profession needs it, because this is what keeps America free. Though, when we talk about our military, and I'm in a military family, but really our day-to-day freedoms come from the American law enforcement officer.
Yeah, I agree. Well, awesome. It was an absolute honor to have you on. Can you hang on for just like 2 minutes when I do the outro?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. The great Betsy Brantner Smith did not disappoint. Fantastic stories. So honored to have her come on the show. Don't forget to go to nationalpolice.org. Support them. They are supporting the people that take care of us. So please go check them out. A link will be in the show notes, so it's super easy for you to do. And let me get to the Patreon sponsors. So these are the people that keep the boat afloat. You guys are donating to the show. I truly, truly appreciate that. Let me see here. I'm going to start with the lieutenants. Who I'm talking about is the great and powerful Andy Biggs. Kyle, thank you so much. Brad Thompson, thank you, sir. Michael Roach, my man, the handsome Lane Campbell. Gary Steiner, thank you. Adam Mihal, thank you, sir. The great Seth Wright. Lauren Stimson, thank you, madame. Jason Lau. Sasha McNabb, everybody. Tammy Walsh, holding it down to dispatch. Thank you, Tammy. George Tessier, love you, buddy. See you at church. Dennis Carrasquillo, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Scott Young, Elliot Sykes, Dan Carlson from Burley Boards, awesome woodworker. Check him out on Instagram. Doug and Kelly Newman, love you guys. Raymond Arsenal, my man. Richard Doles, keep on trucking, brother. Stay safe out there. Once again, Elliot, I jumped ahead. Elliot Sykes, my man, my brother. Thank you, sir. Clark LeCuff, thank you. Adam, thank you so much. Sheriff Ronald Long, thank you, sir. Zachary Fleet, thank you. Jason Labrie, my man, thank you. Lisa Gano, thank you, madame. Sherry Finch, thank you. The great Eric Smith. Jackson Dalton from Black Box Safety, check them out. Thank you, Jackson. Brett Lee, thank you, sir. Alex Wasick, thank you. Lauren Smith, thank you, madame. Yvonne True Love, thank you. Becky, thank you, my lady. Gina, Kimmy, thank you. And Josiah, thank you, sir. I truly appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for donating to the podcast through Patreon. The link is in the show notes. If you really love the show, you've heard all the free content, and you think, how do I give old Ginger Face a few shekels? You just do it through the Patreon. Truly appreciate you. And guess what, guys? I love you, and I will see you next time.